Let's talk a little bit about some other news and notes that's going on at the time, including Masawa, who is an absolute wrestling legend. Most people believe him to be one of the greatest performers of all time. He passes away after an in ring accident in Noah. He's going to take a suplex and ultimately lose his life. Masawa is a legendary talent, and he back in the day, yeah, very early in his life, went on excursion and actually found his way through your old stomping grounds. What can you tell us about Masawa and how you heard this news? I mean, anytime a death happens in a wrestling ring, I'm sure you hear about it. But a high-profile performer like this, I mean, this is something else.
We heard about it. I heard about it in a creative session that it came across. Somebody found out about it. And, we all kind of went into the discussion on there's got to be more to this story. He took a suplex and, and again, that grind in the Japanese, just the grind of Japanese wrestling that show night in, night out, and going out on tour. That was he nursing an injury, but just kind of the, I don't want to say old school, but yeah, kind of the old school mindset discipline is I'm going to work when I'm hurt. And Sawa probably worked when he was really hurt, but damn, to lose his life, man, it was just like a shock. It's that simple as a shock. Like, how did this happen? And did they ever really come out and say how specifically, like, what happened? Do you know, Conrad? Broke his neck, but do you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, I'm under the impression that a lot of those guys. I think this is the narrative that they took too many headshots with their
Yep.
suplexes. They were dropped on their head too many times. I mean, I don't know another way to say that. And it weakened the vertebrae. And ultimately, I think it's a broken neck that does him in. But a lot of people sort of point to those suplexes, especially considering the timing of this one.
Yep.
It's hard for me to make a call one way or another. I don't exactly pretend to know exactly what it was, but
Yeah. I didn't know if the doctor report came out.
they never revealed the official cause of death, but most people just assume
Yep.
that's what it was, that it was um well, I mean, he took a back suplex and he never got up. So
Yeah.
I think people just assumed that had to be it.
Mhm.
When you see something like that happen, does it become, I mean, how startling is it? I mean, I know that guys online say, well, it ain't ballet. But I mean, here's a guy who's a part of this secret society, this brotherhood, and we're all taking care of each other. And, I know unfortunately Rey Mysterio was in the ring down in Mexico when we lost another really talented performer a handful of years ago. And just deaths in the ring are something that happen. But does it get everybody on edge for a little bit?
Yes. And I think for me, um, don't work hurt. We can figure it's, uh, and that was something that, and man, at celebrating my birthday over the weekend and knowing that, 10 days, 2 weeks removed from a match against Hangman and a couple of matches here and there. And this weekend, Satnam, my man, up in AEW wrestling, Conrad, he's coming along, man. God, I'm a big fan of him. But anyway, in that 8-man tag, but I guess where I was going with it is I was taught by my dad, Lawler, others, and it was in that territory era that, it is how in the world are you going to get a paycheck if you're hurt? And you can work around anything because there's always next week in our mindset in the territory days. Well, and nowadays there's a boatload of talent. You have replacements. Back in the day, on a 12-man card, one man down, okay, somebody's going to pull double duty. Those days are gone. You can always find and continue the story going and navigate through everything. But when this happened, it was, hey guys, and Dutch was a proponent of that, and Vince Russo would that was actually his lane, but he cared about it. It was always, hey man, we can write the story around an injury. Just that simple. And in Japan, and I'm not leaning into those guys because it happened everywhere around the world. They would work hurt, and preventive maintenance, however you want to say it. If you're hurt, let us know, and we don't need to go down that road, because working hurt really just opens the door to exponentially get hurt much worse.
Let's talk a little bit about where we are with the news of the storyline. The main event mafia and the way this story continues to evolve. I mean, that's really what's carrying you in 2009. Would you agree with that?
It was. I mean, it was put together in October of 2008. And when January rolled around and the pieces of the puzzle were really put in place, and me and Mick, I played the role of an extension of my personality as the founder, and Mick was the legend who the whole world knew that he was a huge proponent of young guys and youth and giving guys opportunities and breaks. And so we were in the middle of it, and we've talked about this multiple times on the pod, that this story was really very, very much reality based. And the Main Event Mafia were all former world champions. Was Sting the leader, who had a lot of integrity, or was the ruthless boss Kurt Angle, who just ruled with an iron fist? And then you had Scotty Steiner, and you had Booker, and then you had Kevin Nash. They all played their roles great, but the people bought in, and we brought them along on that story, and our ratings continued to go up. We had shows that were doing over 2 million viewers, segments that were really clicking. Things were hitting on all cylinders, and we were getting a point as the storyline was going, that the wheels internally with the Main Event Mafia between Kurt and Sting were coming to a head. And like all great angles, this, and we're going to get to this in the next few weeks or whenever you dictate, Conrad, or whenever the schedule does. But, we never got the Main Event Mafia payoff, but the genesis of the internal combustion between Sting and Kurt was really heating up. And the people, they were dying to see, I think, Sting and Kurt, because those were the two kind of quasi leaders of it. But it definitely carried us entirely up to this point of 2009, and successfully.
Let's talk a little bit about where we are. We've got Steiner and Booker T being put together as a tag team for Main Event Mafia. So you're combining two of the greatest brother tag teams in the history of WCW. I guess just half of the best two tag teams in WCW. But they were the Steiner brothers, and of course, Stevie Ray was Booker T's brother in Harlem Heat. So we have brothers from another mother as a big tag team here. We've also got Taylor Wilde defeating Daphne. And this is a match that happens on TV with 10,000 thumbtacks. And there's been some discussion recently with everything that's happening in AEW about, ladies and violence. I mean, here you guys were doing this 15 years ago with thumbtacks. Was there any hesitation from a network standpoint to do something like this?
No, and again, our relationship with Spike, gosh, Conrad, and this is sometimes some of the fun stuff that they took us on a flyer and put us on late nights, not even prime on a Saturday night, but I'm glad they did as I look back on it, because that's where the trust began to build. That relationship from day one. Hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to deliver, and we delivered, and we built it along. By 2009, women and violence, and they had seen the Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and the Knockouts division, and Karen being the figurehead knockout. What was her, the VP of knockouts, whatever it was, just all the drama and the ratings that they were getting, and the Abyss hardcore storylines that we would do quite a bit. So it was a natural, and they were fully supporting it, and knew that it would rate. You'd get good ratings.